Our relationship with God is a deeply personal topic, yet it's usually a social experience. It's comforting and many times passionate. This evening, we begin our series, Sacred Spaces, by taking a look at the deep history of some sanctuaries across central Georgia.
We focused on 4 with very humble beginnings. The first takes us to Twiggs County. Suzanne Lawler shows us why Richland Baptist was important at the turn of the century and is still very relevant today. It's the first segment of our Sacred Spaces series.
Hello, how are y'all? And I have just fallen in love with this old church.
It's homecoming for folks that have ties to Richland Hills Baptist Church in Twiggs County.
I don't know, it's just been sentimental for me. We have 4 relatives buried over there.
J.E.B. Asbell, great uncle.
A lot of folks have connections to early parishioners, but the original members drafted the papers for Richland Baptist in 1811. It was named for nearby Richland Creek that ran through this part of the county.
And it had a charter member of 12 and 4 males, 8 females, and 1 female, Chloe Hodges, African American.
This was 50 years before the Civil War, when most black people in the South were enslaved. To have a woman of color among the founders of Richland, well, that set the tone for decades to come.
Actually, before the Civil War, the black membership was up to about 165.
Hayward Mackey is a student of history, and he realizes while Richland was inclusive, those 165 members made up 70% of the congregation at the time, it was still a segregated congregation.
The men would sit on one side, the women would sit on the other, and it was the same upstairs for the slaves.
A lot of people whose family was here 200 years ago, they're still here, and they still remember and they know their history here.
Ben Huffman is president of the Richland Restoration League. Crosses erected by the group stand among the cemetery's ornamental iron, guarded by swaying Spanish moss.
And those are graves that aren't marked, and we just continue to find those, and we have plans to do more on the other side of the church.
Crews also recently came in to shore up the side of the church. Richland represents the past and the future, a house of worship with deep roots and people working together to keep its regal story alive. Suzanne Lawler, 13 WMAZ News.
And Suzanne tells us at one point Richland became the largest church in the Ebenezer Baptist Association. To see a gallery of Suzanne's photos from Richland, just look for Sacred Spaces on 13WMAZ.com.
And next Thursday at 6, Suzanne shares a sacred space in Wilkinson County.